Welcome everybody to the first ever interview I'm doing. I'm here with Mr. Tyson Blaste. Nice to have you here.
Hello, friend.
For those of you who don't know, Tyson Blaste does a lot of different stuff in the Windsor scene. He runs black market booking. He's in various bands, but I'm going to let him expand on that a little bit. So I guess just to start off, let's just talk about where you came from and what was your introduction into Windsor metal.
My brothers were kind of a little bit older than me, so they kind of got into like the hardcore scene and more underground, like death metal and stuff. And they started showing me that stuff, and I kind of fell in love immediately, like after one show. And I was kind of more like a new metal kid at the time, I guess. Like I only knew mainstream stuff like Korn and Slipknot and stuff.
Right.
And then once I saw like a legit like underground hardcore show, I was like, whoa, like this kind of made the hair on my arm stand up. I was just really in love with it immediately.
Do you remember the first band you saw live?
Well, in that scene was probably Face Down, Buried Alive, and For Dire Life's Sake in like a basement at a house that the bands used to practice in. Before all that, even we lived at this house on Moy, and right next door was this band always playing in the basement. I like boldly asked them if I could just go in their house. Like I knocked on the door. It's like, can I just come in and see what they're doing down there? Because like this sounds awesome. And yeah, they let me in, and we were totally cool. And it was just like crushing death metal. This band, Carcinogen, that was like kind of popular back then. So I didn't know anything at the time. I was just like, whoa, like what is this? I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then that kind of played in with the whole learning about the hardcore scene at the same time, and it was just kind of like a melting pot of all this like craziness at once in my life.
And then eventually you got into some, making music and like a band for real, right?
Yeah, that's ADHD was my first band. It was like a hardcore punk band. And yeah, like our vocalist at the time was a welder, and he had like more money than all of us. We were just like broke kids, and like he's like, "You're gonna play drums for my band. I know, I've heard you could play." And I was like, "Okay," like not really, but okay. Like, and he's like, "Get in my car. We're going to La McQuay right now. I'm just gonna like finance this kid and get it, and you just pay me back." And like I was like, "What? Okay." So I've always wanted a kid. Like now I've wanted one bad. So.
And then kind of fast forward to now. Can you just list off some of the projects you're involved with?
Currently, Trench Lung's like my main project. It's kind of like blackened mathcore stuff. Our guitarist is based out of Australia right now, so it's kind of harder to get together, but when we do, we just try to tour as much as we can. And Flag is my thrash project that I play in. Eternal Confinement is a death metal band they're playing. And there's like an unnamed kind of doom project that I'm also doing.
Really cool. You're definitely a busy guy. But there's also another thing you do called black market bookings. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's just like my moniker I use to like my production or promotion company. So basically just started out like always going to shows and all that, and then all the like older guys started getting out of booking. I feel like everyone hits that grown up point, like, oh, I'm growing out of this, and they're kind of done doing it. And then I was like, someone kind of needs to like step in and do that who's also from the older days, so I kind of can bridge the age gap, like of not like I'm less in tune with the modern day age, but like at least I could bridge that gap a little bit and kind of get the old school cats and the new school kids kind of all in the same room. So I just really want to take on booking and help bands, and like bands that are touring and always need shows, so you're like, I just wanted to help that out as much as I could. Like,
and what's the drive that kind of pushes you to do that? Because it's one thing to just be in bands and promote your own stuff and consume metal, but you're taking a step further and actually reaching out to other bands and trying to make them successful. So what motivates you to do that?
I just want to make other bands succeed. Like especially if I see like how good they are, it's like, okay, like these guys need an audience, or like they'll do their own DIY shows, and it's cool. Like everyone could do that, but like I want to bring them a bigger audience, or promote it better, or like more. I guess as a third party, you can promote things harder because it's not someone just saying, "Come see my band." Like now it's like me pushing their band like for them. So I do that for all the Windsor bands, and like pretty much like most of them, and touring bands, and yeah, I don't know. They just kind of turned into, I want to help bands out. I tour like as much as I can in a year, like quite a bit. So I see like the ups and downs of terrible promoters, terrible booking agents, or good booking agents or both sides of all these kind of fields, and I just wanted to like show bands they could just have a great time.
Oh, coming back to the bands themselves, I want to ask about what are some local bands that you're really fond of or that you've worked with.
It just seems like there's something in the water here, and like every band is like pretty well. Every band is killer at their respective genre. So like Psychic Void is killer at like punk and kind of like old school punk kind of sounds, and like Miners is like a really sick kind of grind hardcore band mashup metal where I don't know, they're just relentless and crushing it. Everyone has that kind of like grit behind it. Like my bands I mentioned, we all play a lot of the local shows. Radius is a newer up and coming metal band. Like, they're just killer at what they do. It's like melodic death and like, you know, just pretty much every band you touch upon. Hell is Other People. Like if you want black metal, like it's hard to find it. And there's like the one band doing it is really killer at it. Is Hell is Other People. So it's almost like every genre has its own like crushing kind of force around it.
Yeah, like if we're talking about genres, from what I've seen, there's a good amount of punk, there's a good amount of grind in Windsor, some death metal in various styles, melodic, brutal, like Internal Confinement, right? But there are certain genres that don't really exist here. Like, as far as I can tell, Hell's Other People is really like the only black metal kind of project here. Do you think in the future that bands like Hell's Other People or maybe Viridius could inspire more people to do music in those genres?
I don't know, it's kind of, you could influence other bands. Obviously everyone gets influenced from everything they hear, especially locally, right? But I don't know, I feel like it's just like bands are going to keep coming out with like their new little twist on it. So like even if they were melodic death metal, like maybe they coined themselves as that, but like they could just be like a thrash death metal band, like, or it doesn't really matter what you call yourself, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so like the people, every band will feel that they could like add their touch to.
You could take
this
one piece
from
a band
and like, oh, I like this element from this band,
Right,
and
right.
what if I put them together and had this weird little like, like kind of like twisted idea of a genre,
and then you know, not just local bands. I mean, we've been having a lot of different groups come in here from the States and from all across Canada, so maybe you could talk a little bit about those kinds of bands. Just from the top of my head, I remember Inanimate Existence paid us a visit, and looking into like a few weeks, Beyond Creation is going to be here, so could you talk about how that was put together?
Basically, the main booking agent that I deal with for a lot of that international stuff is his name's Liam. He works for Nomadic Arts, and he works with a lot of the big labels like Nuclear Blast or Unique Leader, Season of Mist, a bunch of different bands. So like, or a bunch of different labels, sorry. So whenever he has like an international tour coming or something, he'll usually hit me up for like a good Windsor days.
What do you think the shape of the scene's going to look like maybe in like 10 years time or something like that?
Honestly, I think it's getting harder to grow in this day and age, because I feel like people are having like trouble wanting to like get up off the couch or go out after work or whatever their like I got kids, whatever the reasoning is to miss shows, is that's like kind of phasing out. And I try to make mine all ages so I could get like newer crowd, but it feels like the newer generation and culture, it's like harder to get them like to get excited about that. So you could just go on YouTube and find anything they want. And
That's true.
So basically, I feel like the amount I'm growing the scene in my eyes is kind of roughly gets negated by the amount of people dropping out. So we're always kind of sitting in that like 100 to 150 people range for like bigger shows. Honestly, if you guys want bigger, better shows, you just have to come support more of those bigger shows, basically. So this is for you guys. We're in like a market that's kind of smaller, so Detroit kind of eats up a lot of like the major bands and major acts, and like almost every tour goes through there, and Toronto. So there's like a thing called Radius Clause where we're too close to Detroit for a lot of those bands to play a back-to-back show and come play Windsor. So Windsor kind of gets like cut out of that mix. So most of mine are like exclusive shows too. Like they won't go play Detroit usually. It'll be like a Windsor show. So it's harder like convincing them of like come to our smaller market instead of a massive market like Detroit.
Do you have any closing remarks for the people at home?
Just I don't know, man. Just go to shows. If you want bigger, better shows,
Go to shows.
go to them. Like I try to do like deals at the door. I've had people that are like broke and don't have money, and I'll front it, like I'll spot them money until they pay me back, or like anything. I'll work with you. Like I want the bands to have a crowd to play to. Young kids need to start bands too.
That's very
like
true.
there's a lot less of that. It's all old dudes in like 5-10 bands. Like
Yeah.
we need to have like younger kids step up and like get into it.
Yeah, and there are younger fans here, so.
Like Meat Bingo, name drop.
Meat
they
Bingo.
just started.
Oh yeah, Meat Bingo.
Some are younger cats, like some are like a little bit older, but yeah, like that's a band where they just started out and they just got out there and started winging it, and it's been awesome. So like more bands should look to something like that and like be like, oh, I can start up something and like go do it. Like I'm not gonna like close the door on your band. Like I almost have everyone open a show to give them a chance or something. So like start bands and go to shows. That's pretty much.
And that is Tyson Blaste. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.
Cheers.